Hey you guys, it's Bright tonight. We're here to talk about something that I came across this afternoon, and to be quite honest, it made me pretty salty. As some of y'all know, I'm working my way through Gypsy Rose Blanchard's, in my opinion, fictional memoir, and I'm going to do a video very soon on that because, in fact, I'm over halfway done listening to the gremlin narrate this very fictional story. But for now, I would like to talk about how now it's kind of this brag worthy moment that she's number one bestseller. Recaps with Julie did a video, and I don't know what Recap with Julie or Recaps with Julie is all about. It seems like she is very obviously pro Gypsy, and as a commentary channel, I think that makes you look very foolish because typically commentary channels are here to really discuss what's actually going on. What has this person showed us? Do they have, redeeming qualities? Either way, I've got a little bit of a weird vibe with her, but we're going to go over what's been going on. So if you're interested, please keep watching. All right, guys, so Recaps with Julie came out and was sharing with everybody how Gypsy's book is the number one bestseller and all of the things.
Probably the most famous victim of Munchausen by proxy ever has now written her very own book, a memoir, and it's just hit the number one best-selling list. Gypsy's now 33 years old, and she was just released from prison last December, where she served 8 of the 10 years she received for the murder of her mother. She posted a clip of a news article today that says Gypsy Rose Blanchard's memoir, My Time to Stand, is a number one bestseller following its release. It's also number 16 in the list of audiobooks on Apple. Now, Gypsy's not able to make money off the death of her mother, so the book is a memoir about her childhood and her upbringing and what happened to her. The write-up says Blanchard shares the painful details from her upbringing, during which she was a victim of her mother's Munchausen by proxy and child abuse. Throughout the pages, she writes about the abusive cycle that began with Dee Dee's abuse by her father, Gypsy's fear that continued unnecessary surgery would leave her truly disabled, and how she coped with guilt and accepted responsibility for her mother's death and memories of her days in prison. If you're not familiar with what Munchausen by proxy is, basically it's when a caregiver will fake or cause an illness in someone they're taking care of for sympathy, attention, money, something like that. And according to Gypsy, Dee Dee subjected her to unnecessary medical treatments and surgeries for conditions including leukemia and muscular dystrophy, and convinced her she was 4 years younger than her actual age. She goes into detail about how she started meeting people online, including her then boyfriend, Nicholas Godejohn, and ended up in June of 2015 planning and carrying out the murder of her mother. For Gypsy's hand in the death of her mother, she received 10 years with parole, and her ex, Nicholas, received life in prison with no parole. Gypsy's now been living with her father and her stepmother in Louisiana. She's been dating her ex-fiance from prison, Ken Urker, and she's also expecting their first child the end of January.
After seeing her video, I very quickly came upon this comment exchange where Gypsy is defending this going around. Someone said, it couldn't be because you paid for it to say number one by deleting negative comments and ratings but kept the positive ones. We're not stupid. Gypsy responded and said this: books make number one bestseller based on sales, not reviews. The reviews were not reflective to the actual reflection of the book due to internet trolls. Sales speak volumes. The way I feel about this, I don't really care if it's number one or number 100. I'm disappointed that people went out and bought this book because by going out and buying it, you are giving her money. I realize that people are very curious and they wanted to see what would be in this book, but for me, that's where I lean on other creators that are covering it, other people that are writing reviews, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. I'm not going to put a penny in Gypsy Rose's pocket directly. This book, I said from the get-go, it was a lot of fiction. It was a lot of half-truths, slander, victim mentality, all of the things. So I'm disappointed that people even bought this book, but I knew this was going to happen. Now, going back to the recaps with Julie topic, I initially, I saw Julie's content back when she was covering the Ruby Frankie case, when all of that was happening last year. I really don't like the trajectory that she kind of went on by becoming very obviously pro Gypsy. There is no reason you should be looking at this as if it's someone who wrote their life story and they're a best-selling author and this is what's going on. I think that it's very sketchy the way that her video was delivered. I didn't like it. I will play it for context, but I don't care for it. I don't care for the way that she is being so obviously in Gypsy's corner any chance that she gets the opportunity. To me, it's a little weird, it's a little off-putting, but hey, I'm just one opinion of millions. Gypsy Rose Blanchard is a murderer who groomed and manipulated a disabled man to unalive her mother, and I don't like the way that murder is being replaced with best-selling author. I will always label her what she is, and that is a murderer and a manipulator. She is not a best-selling author, an author, anything positive on my channel, and that's the decision that I've come to. I'm not going to acknowledge her best-selling, her writing, her anything, because I think the entire thing is absolutely ridiculous. And the final note about the best-selling thing is that it has to do with books sold in a certain category. Let's not act as if she just released a book that was flying off the shelves and everybody should read it. People were morbidly curious about what she was going to say and how many lies were going to be peppered throughout this book. They went out and bought it, and that's why the book is selling. It's a very small percentage of people that went out and bought this book because they like her and they feel like, oh, this is her time to stand. Let's go support Gypsy. It's a lot of people that either disagree or are very skeptical of her. Lastly, I want to talk about the trigger warning that she did not put in the beginning of her book. There are, like I said, I'm over halfway through, and there are so many graphic descriptions in this book that are extremely unsettling for it to not have a warning. She does not care about other people that are affected by this. She is not an advocate for survivors or anything along the lines. She put this out to line her own pockets with blood money. But finally, she went ahead and put this trigger warning on her TikTok. This was obviously way after the book was being sold. People had already finished the book. She decided to go ahead and put this out. She said, I want to make readers aware of the disturbing, explicit details of abuse within my memoir, that there are many references to many forms of abuse, physical, emotional, and essay. My book may trigger some. I would advise caution when reading my book. My hope is to encourage healing through sharing my experiences with others who find themselves in similar circumstances. Society puts many stigmas against victims of abuse, and this book is to show the growth towards a better life. Interruption, in my opinion, we've seen really not a whole lot of growth. We've just seen a lot of mess, a lot of lying, a lot of more manipulation and conning the public to give you pity, money, or attention. That has remained very steady her entire life. She continued and said, some things happen to us that we are shamed for, and the truth is we are not to blame for others who have abused us. So let's talk about you abusing Nicholas Godejohn, because in my mind of people that are manipulative and abusive and not to be trusted, Gypsy Rose checks all the boxes and more. We as survivors are not to blame. We didn't ask to be hurt or used. We can acknowledge our past and not live in it. Move forward and as survivors stand together. Hand heart emoji, many blessings, Gypsy Rose Blanchard. And obviously, there was some kickback in her comments. I'm surprised the comments on her TikToks are even on, but as of December 18th, they are on most of her videos that I came across. But I don't think that this is like, this should not be allowed. You should not be allowed to paint yourself as a victim when you carried out, designed the entire blueprint to unalive your mother, and you were using Nick as a pawn in your game. You got out with a short prison sentence. He's there for the rest of his life. We've talked about all of that, but I think that this is just simply embarrassing. And in December of 2024, if you are still supporting Gypsy Rose Blanchard, either you haven't educated yourself or you have and you just don't care about the actual facts that are out there. It's free. It's all out there. You can find it if you want it. And at this point, if you have found it and refuse to believe it, then that is your choice. I've made mine, and this is my channel where I'm sharing my opinions about that choice. But nevertheless, stop complimenting Gypsy Rose Blanchard. She is not worth compliments. She is not worth, being handed a bouquet of roses because she put out this book. That is a problem. And I'm here to talk about it. But for tonight, if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.